Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. So nice to see all of you. Hey, Reagan. Hello from Las Vegas. I love it. I see some Denver folks in here and some local Colorado Springs families. Yay. So nice to see all of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a couple of folks still coming in, so we'll just give the folks a couple minutes, 90 seconds, 60 seconds to come on in. If you would like to put your location in your name, you're welcome to, just so we can see and everyone else can see where you're calling in from or zooming in from. And it's dinner time. So we totally understand if you are screen off and you've got dinner going and you're eating with family and all of the things. So thank you for joining us tonight. We're super excited to see you. And I think we're ready to go. Yeah? All right. I'm Amy Walia-Fazio. I'm the Dean of Enrollment here at Fountain Valley School. And so excited to welcome everyone tonight. This is the first in our series of five virtual events that we're kicking off tonight. And we're focusing on the ninth grade curriculum. And the way that we titled this was Welcome to the West, right? Our ninth grade curriculum is heavily focused on the West. And it's connected to the larger frame of our entire program, which we like to fondly describe as global education rooted in the American West, right? So tonight we're specifically talking about ninth grade, and in future virtual events, we'll be talking about the rest of the curriculum. We'll be talking about community life. What does it mean to live here? What does it mean to play here? What does after school look like for us on this campus? What do dorms look like? Next week, we're actually having a deep dive into admissions and financial aid. So if you have any questions about admissions and financial aid, whether it's need-based aid or merit scholarships, definitely hop on for that one or watch the recording when that goes live. So without further ado, we have an amazing panel today, and I'm going to kick it over to our Director of Admissions, Dave Soto, to take it away from us. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. We are super excited to talk to you all today about FVS and ninth grade and all the amazing things we get to do. Like Amy said, my name is Dave Soto. I'm the Director of Admission for us here at Fountain Valley. Very excited to be here and very excited you guys are joining us. My goal today is to talk as little as possible and let our amazing panelists do all the talking and tell us about this amazing program. So before we get sort of jumping into the meat and potatoes of this thing, I would love for these folks to introduce themselves. And as always, we will go students first. So students, Anna, we'll start with you, then we can go around the table. But Anna, introduce yourself, say hello, where you're from, all the amazing things.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a day student. I'm also a sophomore, and so I live in Colorado Springs. Yeah, and I play tennis. That's my main sport.
Cool. Kamaya, we'll go to you next.
I'm Kamaya. I'm a junior and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I do basketball and soccer. I do a lot more, but we're not gonna get into that.
All right, Cammy, take us home with the student intros.
I'm Cami. I'm from Larkspur, Colorado. I'm a boarder and I'm in 10th grade and I'm a part of the English writing program.
And then our wonderful faculty. Jessica, we'll go with you first.
Hello, I'm Jessica Smith. I'm Director of Experiential Ed and a science faculty. I've been at Fountain Valley for 4 years and in the classroom for 28.
Last and most certainly not least, Mr. Jed.
Hi, my name is Jed Haupt. I am the director of the ninth grade program, and I am also a history teacher, and I live here on campus. This is my 12th year at Fountain Valley School, and I live here on campus with my family, my dog, and my 8-year-old son, and my wife.
Awesome. So Jed, we'll stay with you. And if you can, give us a brief overview of what ninth grade at Fountain Valley looks like. What does it mean? What are some of the goals? Just give us the bird's eye view.
So recognizing that ninth graders at Fountain Valley are coming from a wide swath of backgrounds and locations and middle school experiences. One of our primary goals with the ninth grade program is to create a sense of cohesion and a set of shared values of class bonding and really some pretty specific intentionality of setting up students for success, whether they are from Atlanta, Georgia, or from Colorado Springs, and really kind of combining the components of like what does a positive classroom culture look like to what does class cohesion look like? What does a good community member at a boarding school slash day school look like to the academic skills that every student needs to succeed? And all of those things through the lens of what Jessica does with experiential education and in the amazing location that we have here in at the foothills, at the base of Pikes Peak, at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And so really trying to bring all those pieces together throughout the year and really to set up the class for not just kind of their immediate success as ninth graders, but through their entire Fountain Valley career. And I would say beyond, like really kind of developing habits of mind, habits of interactions with each other, habits of community, sense of community, what that feels like, how to act to develop that. What does rigorous and vigorous academics look like? How do you navigate those challenges? And then also just like go on experiences, put yourself in positions of discomfort and know and learning to know that you can do hard things, even if they are hard in the moment.
Yeah. Thank you. Jessica, I would love to you to add on a little bit about how what your involvement is in ninth grade curriculum and sort of your take on it. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
It's been a while since
I
I've
was
been
we were just talking before everyone hopped on about how we're all getting refreshed with Zoom again.
But just kind of connect with what Jed already said. With the ninth grade curriculum has a very comprehensive program from all across the curriculum, across the content, and across kind of the pillars of what experiential ed is at Fountain Valley, which comprises a retreat, and in the case of freshmen, it's the Western Immersion program. Where we work on developing skills specific to that grade level. So for freshmen, it's Western Immersion. For sophomores, it's a global leadership retreat before they travel internationally. For juniors, it's focusing on leadership skills. And for seniors, it's focusing on their global scholars program or their capstone project with research and delivery and service. Besides the retreat, we have interim, which is run by Missy Alley. Students travel either locally, in the case of our ninth grade curriculum, they stay in the area, they stay at the mountain campus. We spend a lot of time learning about the Arkansas and the Fountain Valley, our Fountain Creek. We spend a lot of time in the field on the prairie, doing prairie restoration work. And so it kind of looks like that field work piece in science. Besides the retreats and interim, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. Well, we did mention the mountain campus. So it's kind of this whole, like for the ninth grade piece, takes the lead on a lot of the additional programming for the ninth graders. We travel to local museums and Bent's Fort, and we dig into different perspectives on the Western history. And then we look at the policy and kind of the implications of what our regional policy looks like. I think I'll stop before I overstep because that is not my lane.
No, it's a good problem to have. There's so much good stuff to share. You talked about Western immersion and interim and all things we're going to get to later on. But I do want to hear from our students as well, right? You guys lived this program. You guys did this program, whether it was last year or the year before. And I want to hear from you guys. So Cami, we'll start with you. What was the ninth grade sort of experience like for you in the classroom?
I would say in the classroom, it was extremely helpful just to have freshmen in every single class because you really, coming from a really small school where we only had 10 kids with through third through eighth grade, I came and had like 40 new friends, 40 to 50 new friends. And I feel like it really helped us all get closer together, just being in the classroom and being able to learn and just being close with each other. And then also living in the same dorm as all of the freshman girls as well. I know the Figgy boys also live together, but
Yeah. So, and I want to go to you too, and as somebody, who lives in the Springs, tell us about what it was like to learn about your home, in the ninth grade year.
Yeah, so I think it was really interesting. Even living in Colorado Springs and going to middle school in Colorado Springs, I learned so many new things, like specifically on field trips, going to the mountain campus over Whip, going to Leadville, going to the Arkansas River. I got to see things and learn about things, experiencing perspectives that I hadn't seen. So it really opened my eyes. Even though I lived in Colorado Springs, I got to experience so many new cultures and new understandings.
Yeah. So the flip side of that, right, Kamaya, as somebody who's not from Colorado, as somebody coming all the way from Georgia, what was your experience learning about all, this whole new place?
Yeah, it was different. Like going off of Anna, it was like the experiences and like going to Sand Creek, and seeing things that like you don't typically learn about on the East Coast. Like it's something that's skimmed over in a way, but it was like it's so important to the Midwest. And so coming like learning these different like a different curriculum in a way and seeing these different experiences, it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
So it broadened my perspective, and I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Kamaya, I'm going to stay with you really quick. And then we'll go in reverse order with the students. What was hard for you? What do you remember ninth grade being like? Oh, that was pretty challenging.
Um, I would say like the books that we read in English. We read a lot of books about like the Midwest and like digesting what happened to like certain people.
Hmm.
I would like that, like it's like taking it all in,
Mhm.
especially to something that like you're not used to, and like learning about people's different experiences and like the autobiographies that we read and all of these things. It was like pretty like brutal.
Mhm.
And so it was really not like emotional, but like I know like my history class and my English class, like it was hard conversations
Yeah.
to have because it's like some people have like I don't know, like Indian heritage or like certain things. So like certain conversations were hard to have, but it was
Yeah.
something that needed to be had. So,
Mm. I'm gonna play off that really quick. And Jed, I'm gonna go to you. And students, I want to hear Anna and Cam, I want to hear you guys answer too. But Kamai brought up a good point about hard conversasations. What does that look like, particularly the ninth grade year, and how do we want to set our students up to have those?
Um, well, I think, I come at this from the perspective of a history teacher,
Right.
and the best conversations are hard
Yeah.
conversations. And we are committed, as a program and as an institution, to trust our students to bring the maturity that's required to talk about difficult subjects. And our head of school, Megan Harlan, likes to say that we teach students how to think, not what to think. And so, and I'll just speak personally here. As a history teacher, I will often, play the devil's advocate in class, and will portray and ask the questions from a perspective that maybe most of the class or some of the students may not agree with. But I'm going to challenge their assumptions. I'm going to challenge any black and white narrative that they might have. I'm going to challenge blanket statements that are made about any kind of components. I mean, there's very little of history that is simple, or that you can kind of compartmentalize into nice, neat little boxes.
Yeah.
And I think studying the American West um, just provides an amazing opportunity for our students to kind of unpack a lot of those kind of challenging conversations or topics. You can use many other things to do that. But the fact that we are here, and the fact that we can go into the mountains and we can go into the plains and we can visit some of these sites and we can see the landscape and how the landscape has impacted the people and how the people have impacted the landscape and the human history and the culture, and all of the connections between the different areas of what Jessica, Miss Smith is teaching, and what the kids are reading in English and what I'm teaching in history, right? It all kind of works together with a certain intentionality. We create this environment of learning that, yes, can be created in other places, but this is where we are and this is who we are. And so that as a ninth grade program, that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much to go into, and I want to get back to that intentionality, that connectivity really quick. But Anne, I want to go to you, and then Cami, I want to hear you guys' thoughts too. What challenged you as a ninth grader? What pushed you to become a better student?
Yeah, kind of going off what Kamaya was saying, the hard conversations, it was hard to have in time, specific like in history and English, when we had to dig deep into some complicated subjects that are hard to digest. But from doing that this year, currently in my English class, when we're reading a book that's hard to talk about, we've all felt more prepared and like able to take on that challenge and handle it with maturity from what we learned last year.
Yeah. Cami?
Kind of going off of the curriculum, but living away from home
Hmm.
was pretty difficult
Yeah.
coming from a border. Even if I was just an hour away from home, like it's a big leap from being able to see your parents every day to maybe seeing them once a month or once every couple of months. But I feel like the school also helped us, especially living in the freshman dorms, with having that set study hall time and making sure that we all were doing our homework and we all were just turning everything in. And I feel like that was a big help and a big push for the freshmen to
Yeah.
even just excel in the classroom.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome. Um, I want to go back to Jed's point about the connectivity, right, between English and history and science and what that means for us. And Jessica, I'll go with you. Talk to us about how we do that well. What does that mean at Fountain Valley for the three subjects and really the entire ninth grade curriculum to kind of be in lockstep together?
We spend a lot of time together. Uh, what does it look like? It's meetings and
Yeah.
Zoom calls in the summer and lots of planning and spreadsheets. At least I do the spreadsheets. Jed likes to write more, but just lots of communication. I think, Jed's done a really good job of kind of localizing the ninth grade curriculum around these kind of experiences. And then we can work backwards in the classroom. Like, how do I get kids field skills to get in the creek and take water samples? Because we're going to do this while we do, the Leadville piece. And how can we, you know, when we enter the art museum, what are we looking for? What comparisons are we making? And so I think, we're all sitting around a table together, kind of like reviewing these are the pillars of the ninth grade experience, and this is what it looks like in my classroom. Everything from just student study and research skills to like these are the topics. Like we're going to look at the buffalo. We're going to talk about why the buffalo are good for the prairie. We're also going to talk about what it meant to kill the buffalo
Mm.
and what it meant and the history of the buffalo. And so we start to look at it just from those multiple perspectives. But just as like as in teachers, we communicate a lot, and
Yeah.
so there's a constant channel of is this working? Should we change it? What should it
Yeah.
look like? What are the kids? What's the feedback from the faculty and the students? Are we
Yeah.
going to do that?
Yeah, for
A lot
sure.
of just kind of not super tidy work.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jed, can you elaborate more on how we intertwine the subjects and how they all work together?
Um, I think what we strive to do is and it's kind of a give and take, but and we'll never get it perfect, but we strive to create enough consistency between and it's not just three subjects, it's not just history
Sure.
and English and ecology or science. It's also the fine arts. It's
Mm.
also the dean's office. It's chapter one. It's student life. It's the dorms. It's athletics even, and how do we, all of these moving parts that make up Fountain Valley or any kind of boarding school, and trying to get the pieces to fit together in a way that honors kind of the uniqueness of each individual department and
Mm.
area of study, but then also creates some consistency and cohesion
Yeah.
and intentionality of the areas that we're doing. And I guess the best iteration that we've done with that so far is these kind of pillar events, as Jessica put it, starting at the very beginning of the year with the Western Immersion Program, which really starts off like the kids are in school for less than a week. And we, put them on buses and we bring them up to the mountain campus, and we're there for 3 nights and 3 full days of field programming, and it's part of our academic program. And they do spend a day in Leadville learning about mining history and kind of the using Leadville. And if you know anything about Leadville, it's kind of one of the iconic boom towns of the West, the entire West, not just Colorado. And then they spend a day on Cottonwood Pass up on the Continental Divide, looking at the ecosystem of the alpine and subalpine environment. And then they also spend a day looking at riparian and water ecology, getting wet in the water of Chalk Creek just upstream from the mountain campus, and then also doing some natural art and really kind of tapping into some creativity and critical thinking, but in a more expansive sort of way versus a critical thinking in an analytical sort of way.
Yeah.
And so after the Western Immersion Program, we are actually gearing up in November to go back to Bent's Old Fort, which is on the Santa Fe Trail. And which was one of the original trading centers dating to the early 1800s. And yes, that's kind of a historical focus, but what were they trading there? They're trading goods, bison. Jessica made reference to buffalo or bison, hides and the experience there and what the role of that is, and then also the surrounding area and the ecology of that area, and really bringing in some of the narrative and voices of people, of travelers, both white and Hispanic and Native American and Black and French and European of really everywhere from the world coming across the West and really trying to tap into what that experience could be. And then, and I'll just fast forward to December. I mean, we're going to be going up to Denver to the Denver Art Museum, which has a whole wing of Western art, but then also the American Museum of Western Art, which is a private collection, but is in a museum that's open free to the public to see. And so we kind of contrast these two types of museums. And one of our fine arts teachers, Chris Hutchinson, kind of guides us through the students through that. And by that point, by December, the students are well steeped in all sorts of aspects of the West through all of their curricular components, and they can look at a $4 million painting that's the size of the side of a bus and one of the most iconic kind of images of the West, and they can pick it apart and not just look at it and see that, oh, that's a pretty picture, but actually identify the symbolism and the iconography and the different components of that, and really kind of use that to enrich their own understanding of examining art and also examining the West.
I'm in my first year here at Fountain Valley, my first year here in Colorado. Is this open for adults too? Like, can I come and just learn some of this program? Because this is going to be helpful for me as an employee here.
Come
So thanks.
along, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I might just tag along with you guys. That's super
Always
fun.
come chaperone.
Listen, I might just sneak on that bus. I do want to talk a little bit about WHIP, and I do want to hear from the students' perspective too. But I do want to tell our audience, if there are questions you guys have, please let us know. Type them in the chat. I'm happy to dish them out to people. You can send them directly to me. You can send them, put them in the chat, whatever it is, but we want to hear from you guys too. If there are thoughts you guys have or questions that you're sitting on, please let us know. This is an open discussion for everybody. But back to the Western Immersion Program. Students, I want to hear your perspective. You guys all lived that in various different ways. What was your thoughts? What do you remember? What did you take away from it? Anna, we'll go to you first.
So I feel like WHIPs, specifically, like Mr. Haupt was saying, is at the very start of school. So I feel like not only did we really got to meet our grade, like being together for 3 days, 3 nights at the mountain campus, no phones, like really getting to be together. I feel like that was a big part of it. But like we experienced so many different things, like the different days, like going to Leadville, that was so eye-opening and really connecting what we had learned in history prior. So I feel like I really just took away like new experiences, learning new perspectives, and really connecting what we had learned in the week of like school up to it and being able to like really see that and how it played out.
Yeah. Come on, we'll go to you. What did you take away from your WHIP experience?
Whip for me was mostly interim, but we did spend time at the mountain campus and like we did like team bonding, team building. And then of course we have like those days before school actually starts.
Mm,
We do like a ranching day and we all just like basically we're just at the barn, but we're in different groups and we're all like moving around and doing different things and helping out. And it was really nice because that's when I really met my class and I like learned where people were from and it was like you learn different things from different people because we did like horseback riding and then but like certain people they ride naturally.
mm,
So it was like it was a nice experience because it's like you give some and then you take some in a way like you're giving information and you're also learning information. So it was really lovely. And then of course we had interim, but I'm gonna save that for later.
okay.
So
Please do. Cami, what program? What did you think?
I mean, the first thing I remember was us driving up on the mountain campus and even just being on a bus for like 2 hours with everybody. It really helps you just grow and get to know everybody. And then I remember as soon as we walked up into the mountain campus and we stepped out onto the deck, everybody was just like, whoa, because it's just surrounded by mountains and it's so peaceful and so quiet up there that it's not really a part of Colorado you would get to see or experience unless you were somewhere up in the mountains, just like the mountain campus, which is hard to find.
Yeah.
And I would say the curriculum and the events that we did, I definitely never had gone to Leadville, even living in Colorado for almost 8 or 9 years now. And I feel like it being at the start of the school year just helped everybody grow and learn so much about one another. And I can say that I've definitely met some lifelong friends on WIP, and we grew so close together as a class that it really helped us.
So we've talked about the mountain campus a few times. Jessica, can you give us a little bit of context? What do we mean? What are we talking about? What does it look like? Yeah, Jessica, I'd love to hear from you about tell us a little bit about the mountain campus.
We say mountain campus, and it's a large cabin with two, has two different sides. The girls like to call one side the girls' side, and the boys call the other side the boys' side. But there's two halves to it with maybe 60 bunk beds. There's a loft where some of the faculty will stay, and rooms, and a big dining hall, and an indoor, a big fire pit in the like outside the campus. And we have wood burning stoves for when the floorboard heating can't keep up with the cold temperatures.
Mhm.
Typically, if it's interim, we're playing capture the flag and we're hiking up into the meadow, and we're outdoors kind of playing games, depending on weather. Or maybe snowball fights. I think Maya's group. Well, you might have missed the snowball fight. No, that was interim. You might have made this. Yeah, you saw the snow. And so when we say sometimes we go to hot springs in the evening, at Princeton Hot Springs. But it's just a really large cabin and it gets really loud and people sleep on the porch outside, and it's you get to be outdoors and indoors all at the same time.
Yeah, beautiful spot. Um, so we've mentioned interim, and I see a question here about cell phones, and I'm going to use that in just a minute. But briefly, can you guys give us a little bit about interim? What does that look like for ninth graders? What does that mean? And Jed, we'll start with you. But just a brief bit on what that looks like for our ninth graders.
Actually, I think Jessica could speak more authoritatively about interim, but because she's one of the primary leaders. My trip, I actually go to more to Kamaya's neck of the woods for interim, to the deep south. But really, the freshman interim experience is getting kids certain experiences that unless they do it on freshman interim, they might not ever do it at all.
Mm,
And so there's kind of three areas of focus for that. One of which is getting them on our climbing wall in our gym. All right, we have I think the country's largest high school climbing gym in the country, and then also getting them on a horse. Maybe for the first time, maybe the only time that they ever get on a horse, and then also getting them on our trail system, not just on a horse, but on a mountain bike. and cycling in the mountains of Colorado, whether it's mountain biking or gravel riding or road riding or just, tootling around town on your big wheel, whatever, is also just a very kind of Western Colorado thing to do. So we have kind of the traditional component of the horseback riding and the ranch, and learning, welding and blacksmithing and those kinds of things, but also kind of the new West, or the what are people into? When you're in Colorado, it's like, hey, what do you do? Like, oh, I'm a skier, I'm a hiker, I'm a mountain bike climber, or whatever. Like, and I'm kind of poking fun at that a little bit, but it's kind of true, right? People are very into their hobbies here, and most
Yeah.
of those hobbies are outside. So we try to give kids, freshmen, kind of a taste of each of those.
Yeah. Jessica, anything to add on about the ninth grade interim program?
I I think Jed captured it pretty well. We spend half the time here on campus, kind of accessing all the things that the school has to offer. That not every, my son is a really good example. He didn't try rock climbing until the end of the year, and he fell in love, and now he's on the rock climbing team. The ranching day, kids will work cattle. And they will weld, as was already mentioned. And there's a time, there's a record for the fastest. Do you remember the time, Cami? Was your group the one that got the well,
I think me and Dakota got the cow in the chute in 8 or 9 seconds, and then
yeah.
the next group was like 35 seconds.
Yeah, it's like never gonna be beat. So we do this, like a lot of those types of activities. And if we have kids who come who don't know how to ride a bike, so we teach them how to ride a bike. We spend a lot of time on the track until they're ready to get on the trails. And we do service work. We go down, we spend a day at the sand dunes, and we visit a buffalo herd that's down there that's being managed by a community down there. Um, and so it's a good mix of outdoor activities, community service work, trail work, being out in nature, and then having some uniquely Colorado experiences that often a lot of our Colorado kids, like the Cog Railway and just things along those lines to kind of build those common rites of passages for our freshmen.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, students, your guys' experience, ninth grade interim. And we'll start with you.
Yeah, ninth grade interim, I feel like it was a chance to get closer as a grade. Like living in the dorms, especially as a day student, I got to experience part
Mhm.
of living in the dorm for a few nights, like being at school all the time. I really enjoyed like climbing. I'd never done that before. So getting to spend a day climbing was just so fun and like opened my mind to something new. So I feel like I really grew as a person over that trip and experienced so many new things that I wouldn't have had without that experience.
Yeah. Cami?
I feel like the first thing was that I got to have a day student stay in my room for the first couple of days, and then
That's cool.
we I got to try new things obviously on campus, like rock climbing and mountain biking, which I hadn't had the opportunity to do compared to riding horses on campus. And it just honestly opened up so many more experiences that you can do on the campus that we have, especially with how many acres that the campus does have.
Mhm.
And then going up to the mountain campus, we got to help build trails, and it just helped us grow together as a team, working on something difficult, but that's super rewarding.
Yeah. What can you tell us about ninth grade interim?
My interim was lovely. We split up into groups, and I remember my group like very well. Like I can name everyone on the pink flamingos. That's what we were called. And I like vividly remember all of us building the trails, and we actually built the trail that our mountain bikers use now. So like when we host competitions, and it's called the Class of 27 Trail. So we built the trail in the morning, and then in the afternoon we got to ride it. And it was just like it was one of those moments where like no one really like we just stayed together, and like we didn't really care what was happening outside of our campus. Like we were all having so much fun together that like it pulled us into the moment. And then also like with the day students staying in our dorms, that was lovely. I remember some of my friends came down into our room because I had one of the biggest rooms in Valentine. and we all just like had a little sleepover. And it was really lovely. And then that was like our time to bond together before we dispersed into our groups. And like I love the pink flamingos to this day. And so I'd say take advantage of your groups because now the pink flamingos no longer have classes together. So we're all split up. But it was really lovely in the moment.
Shout out to the pink flamingos.
Shout
May
out
they
to
live
them.
forever. That's awesome. Okay, we did have a question about the cell phone policy on campus. I did want to get to that too. It looks like we touched on it a little bit in the chat, but Jessica, I'd love to you to tell everybody what we do here as far as cell phones and what that looks like and what that means for us, for both ninth graders and for everybody.
Yeah, and this is like a dynamic situation, right? Phone policies at campuses, public, private, otherwise, are always kind of evolving and changing. Currently, when students leave campus to go to the mountain campus, we collect cell phones. We keep them with one of the group leaders in like a suburban, turned off just in case there's some need for them. And we have had a few occasions where parents will reach out to school leadership, they'll contact us, and then we'll put the student in touch with their parents. The mountain campus is a phone-free zone, and that's for the adults as well as the students. Again, we maintain, a device for adequate communications about the extent of it. And you wanted just the mountain campus. I mean, in the classrooms, I collect them. It just depends. We have the lower grades, we collect phones, and the upper grades are just expected to be kept turned off and out of sight, that sort of thing. I don't know if you want to add anything, Jed, but
Yeah, Jay, I'd love to hear your
oh,
thoughts on how we use
oh,
cell
and not
phones.
in the
What does it look
dining
like for
hall.
us? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as Jessica said, I think, nationally, internationally, the cell phone policy, the more research comes out, becomes more damning regarding the negative impact of cell phones. I mean, even just, a cell phone sitting on a table next to you, even with the face down, even the idea that you can even see it is enough of a distraction in your brain to kind of pull you off track. So we aren't only asking students to have them out of sight, but we are in fact collecting them, um, and, um, and so that there's no like even okay, my phone is in my pocket, but so it's out of sight, but you feel that buzz and like even that immediate little distractions is enough to pull your attention away. So I think that's one reason why we have 70-minute classes. And with 5-minute passing periods, right? And so again, going off of the research that's been done, it takes about 7 minutes on either end of a class to either settle in or to kind of unwind and get ready for the next thing that you're doing. So, out of any class length, whether it's 45-minute class or a 70-minute or a 90-minute class, you've got basically 14 minutes of that class period that's essentially lost as kids are kind of getting into whatever they're doing or winding their way out of what they're doing. And the cell phone component is a piece of that, of course, right? And I think as a school, we're going to be evaluating that even further, whether we're going to go to the little zip bags. I forget what they're called, but
The underbags.
yonder bags, right? And this year, so right now we're kind of in a trial situation with kind of that expectation of some phones basically being not the center of attention from when classes start at 8:30 until the end of sports at 5:30. And of course that is not perfect, and no policy is ever perfect, but we are talking a lot, as many schools, most schools are, I hope, about kind of about these things, and for the parents that are listening and the kids themselves and the fellow students, I think they're seeing these things happen in real time. And I will say for this year, for WIP, our students did not have phones for 4 days straight. And I was expecting personally like it to be less like easy, but I think after a short amount of time, like kids got really used to it and appreciated it. And certainly we appreciated it as well. And maybe anecdotally, the students can reference kind of their perspective on the phone policy. But, from the teacher's perspective, it's kind of a game changer and will continue to be so.
Yeah, totally. It was mentioned in the chat too that we keep our phones away in our big sort of public spaces as well. So dining hall, the chapel, anywhere where we kind of gather in mass as a community, there's an extra emphasis to keep them away there. But yeah, students, I mean, you guys are living this also. I want to hear your thoughts on what this has been like for you and how you think we use phones well, or maybe where we can improve. Cami, we'll start with you.
I feel like the most beneficial thing as a freshman last year was the teachers taking our phones during our study hall period. And it really helped us just pay attention and do our homework instead of just wanting to sit on our phone and possibly scroll on Instagram or be texting our friends or calling our friends. So that was a big part of it. And then this year, I feel like the policy has also just helped our whole community grow together and be able to communicate better in the dining hall or communicate in the classroom more as well.
Yeah. Okay, we wanted to get you guys out of here in about 45 minutes, so just a few more minutes left. Last chance to submit any questions. So if there are any, please feel free, put them in there right now. But I do want to send you out on a bit of advice. So this goes to, oh, Amy,
Hold
go ahead.
on, one quick second, Dave. I'm going to
Yeah.
jump in because I think there's a big piece here that I want to make sure families understand about our program in general and how the ninth grade curriculum is reflective of the place in which we occupy, right? So not only are we on a prairie that is 1,100 acres and represents like boundless opportunity, right? Which is the frame of the entire program, the curricular trajectory, the opportunities that kids have here. But if we could actually have Jed speak to place and how place is shapes who we are as a community, and even tie into our relationship to indigenous cultures in our space, and why that's important to Fountain Valley.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Jessica and I actually were talking about this earlier today in preparation for this, and like the idea or the phrase like developing a sense of place, or the tagline like place-based education. Um, I think in some ways has become a little bit of a, I don't know, like a saying. And so I'm reluctant to say it without backing it up, I guess. And so what is it about somewhere like Fountain Valley, where people come from all over the world, all over the United States, all over from small communities like Cammy's to big communities like Kamaya's, inner city to rural Colorado, to suburban wherever, and we come in at different places in our lives, and we come in at different places in our development and our maturity and our sense of who we are. And yet we get here, and you come onto campus, and you go up to graduation lawn, and you can see Pikes Peak there, and you go into the dining hall, and you go into the dorms, and you meet your teachers, and each one of these components, the classes and the books and the labs and the experiences that you have, all of these things come together, especially for freshmen, because it's everything is new for them, to create their own sense of place. Yes, there is a larger community sense of place, but each class has their own version of that. There's the uniqueness of the culture of each specific class, the unique experiences of being up on Cottonwood Pass in a snowstorm or a sleet storm, of seeing a moose emerge out of the woods and trying to be quiet, and like such a shared experience like that. And so we really try to, root our experiences and the actual physical place with kind of the psychological, the almost like, the spiritual component of joined experiences together, that all of those things. There's not a single thing. It's not just the prairie. It's not just the campus. It's not just the faculty and the rigorous project that you need to finish to complete your the end of your first semester biology project before going off, for winter break. Like all of those pieces come together, and with a fair amount of intentionality, so that we have a sense of place and a sense of community, and those are almost you can't separate them. And maybe Jessica, you can speak to this a little more as well. I tend to kind of get a little woo-woo about this stuff.
As you should, as you should.
Yes,
Yeah, Jessica,
yes.
let me hear your thoughts here.
I would just add, we spend a lot of time in the field, I'm the science teacher. We want kids to be, in the position of scientist. What is that? And here it's being on the prairie. Maya's class did a wolf project as the state of Colorado reintroduced the wolves. Anna's class did a bison project as we discussed like the bison. And then now this year we're looking at prairie and working with the Aurora Prairie Grass Conservation Group and restoring our prairie. So sense of place, meaning let's use this, 1,100 acres as our lab. Let's get kids in the field doing science, doing history, making observations, doing research, asking questions, and doing all those things across the content areas. So I think that would be the only thing I would add. Oh, and reading primary documents. That's kind of a thing, a thing that I like to. Cammie's like smirking. Don't make me read Aldo Leopold. Like we read the land ethic and then we sit by the Chalk Creek and we talk about how we, our obligation to our water in the state of Colorado.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a couple of other questions in the
Yeah.
chat, and I just want to answer them and then make sure you guys can get off and go enjoy the rest of your evening. So, Reagan, really great question about monitoring grades. So, at Fountain Valley, we actually believe that this is part of your independence. So, parents, you actually do not monitor grades. You do not have access to the grade book until grades are released for the term. So we do operate on 4 terms. It is a semester system though. So the semester grades are the ones that are going on the transcript. But we do have quarter grades, and the quarter just ended, and those grades were just released today or last night, for all of our families, our grown-ups to see, the adults to see. However, big however is that there is a entire community of care. There's so many adults that surround your child, and the advisor is really the hub of that experience. And so someone asked a question about what's the advisor's role. They are the conduit between the school and home. That is how the advisor works. They are the point person. We're actually having family weekend this weekend, and I'm a parent here too, so I'm going to put parent hat on this weekend, and go follow my child through their mini classes. And then my conference will actually start with their advisor. And if there is an issue, just to get to the question, if there's anything that we see coming up about a child, then maybe you're not getting your homework turned in, maybe there's it's in building up and all of the classes are seeing that. That's noted. We are communicating as an adult community about the students, and then that's communicated directly with the child. How can we help you get to where you need to go? How can we put those supports in place? When parents need to be drawn in, we will draw them in. But our purpose is to help students scaffold as they grow into independent learners, and independent people, so that they understand how to build those skills themselves, and then be ready to launch into the world. But there is always a partnership, and there's always the opportunity for parents to communicate with the advisor and be like, okay, I want to check in, see how it's going, anything I need to know about. Usually when you don't need to know about it, when you're not hearing anything, it's things are going swimmingly,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So, Dave, I think you were going to ask one last
Yeah.
question to wrap us up.
Yeah, like you said, get everybody out of here and get you guys on. And thank you again for taking the time to join us and wanting to learn more about Fountain Valley. As Amy mentioned at the top of this thing, We're going to do a few more of these as the fall and the winter go on. So you'll get some more communications about that. And we'd love to see you there. We're going to talk about a whole plethora of things from athletics to student life to just admissions in general, and what the global curriculum kind of looks like. So plenty more to learn from about Fountain Valley as we go out there the mission season. But yeah, I mean, to say goodbye and to take us home a little bit, I want to leave these folks with a little bit of advice. And students, I think we'll start with you guys here, but what's one piece of advice you would want these folks to know? Right? Eighth graders potentially look at a place like FVS. What's important for them to take away, and what would you want them to know either about the process or about the school? And Cami, we'll start with you.
I feel like the most important thing would be just to be open-minded and try new things. I mean, even if you're coming from the other side of the country or from the completely other side of the world, or if you're a day student like Anna and you're 30 minutes away from campus, just be open to trying new things and just being out there and being yourself, because everybody is so accepting here and there's a place for everybody, whether you like mountain biking or skiing or you play basketball. There's a spot for you and you can just always be yourself.
Yeah. Kamaya?
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, I would say just like try new things. And I love that Cami said be open-minded, because that's one of our core values here at Fountain Valley. So just like be open-minded and have courage to try new things and like go out of your shell if you have one. Um, and like, because when you try new things, you meet new people. Like I know people who've like never played basketball, and like when they got on the basketball team, it like opened up opportunities, like new friendships. Like even I was a freshman and I was friends with a whole bunch of seniors because of sports. Sports here really brings you together. Because it's just something like when you enjoy doing something and you're playing with other people, it helps you and like you bond, and like your coaches, like which is all faculty, they're all really nice and like willing to help you. So don't be scared to try something that you haven't done, because 9 times out of 10, that's where your best memories come from.
Yeah. Anna, what's a word of advice for these folks?
I would say go in with a positive mindset, push yourself to try new things, really expand on yourself. I think the more you give into the school and you push yourself, try new things, the more you'll get out of it. You really feel accomplished trying new things, meet new people, like Kamaya is saying, and really just like get so much out of your experience.
Yeah. Jessica, what about you? What advice do you have for these folks, either the parents or students?
Yeah, when classes are approximately 12 students, please use the resources available
Mm.
to you. There is there are so many of us here to support learning, and we can sit right, and if it requires sitting alongside you and walking you through the process, that is the gold, that that there's no way to the value of that. Sorry, I'm very tired. It's the end of the day. So I'm searching for the words. But when you only have 12 students in a classroom, like, we're there to learn, to collectively learn together, and we're there to support you. And it's just, I've been in a lot of different settings, and it's just such a gift to be able to look kids in the face every day and have deep conversations with them
Yeah.
and ask, how are you doing? And what do you need help with? And how can I be a better teacher? And you can have these types of authentic conversations that really deepen kids' learning.
That's awesome. Jed, any final advice for these folks?
I would just say, be curious, asking questions, and just kind of looking at the world and just wondering why things are the way they are, can lead down to so many interesting pathways, in and out of the classroom. So I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, panelists, for your time. Thank you for answering these questions so wonderfully. Guests, thank you guys for being here. Again, you guys could have been anywhere tonight and you guys were all busy. We really appreciate you all stepping up and wanting to learn more about Fountain Valley. Again, we're going to have a bunch of these in different variations throughout the rest of the coming months, so stay tuned for those. We're always available for more questions. If you think of something as soon as we log off, please shoot us an email. We're happy to connect anytime. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to connecting soon later on. Bye, everybody.